Now, look, it would surely be one interview that Donald Trump wishes he didn't do. The president floundered and was visibly annoyed and often didn't make a lot of sense. Trump sat down with an Australian journalist, Jonathan Swan, which aired on HBO. It was a wide-ranging interview, and in it the president was pressed on many issues, including, of course, COVID-19. But he appeared more interested in talking about his rallies and his TV ratings.
Banning China from coming in.
But it was already in here by the time. It was already here. Like, by the time you banned China, it came in through Europe.
Nobody knew the extent. Nobody knew how contagious it was.
But the question is, Mr. President,
maybe China knew.
By June, we knew things were bad. And, you know, the last time I was with you was the day before your Tulsa rally in the Oval. And, you know, you were saying big, huge crowd. It was indoors.
By the way,
these people, they listen to you.
Excuse me, Jonathan.
Yeah.
We had a 19,000-seat stadium. First of all, we had 12,000 people, not 6,000, which you reported and other people reported. But you couldn't even get in. It was like an armed camp.
Why would you have wanted that?
Because they had 120 Black Lives Matter people.
I understand, but why would you have wanted a huge crowd?
Excuse me, wait. And Tulsa, well, because that area was a very good area at the time. It was an area that was pretty much over. After a month later, it started going up. That's a month later. But Tulsa was a very good. Oklahoma was doing very well as a state. It was almost free. It spiked a month later, month and a half, 2 months later, but it was a good area.
But
we had 12,000 people. It was incorrectly reported. The other thing we had that nobody wants to talk about, so Fox broadcast it. It was the highest rating in the history of Fox television, Saturday night. It was the highest rating.
Mr. President.
My speech, well, wait a minute, you're saying something.
Yeah.
That speech was the highest rated speech in the history of Fox television on Saturday night. And nobody says that.
I think you misunderstand me. I'm not criticizing your ability to draw a crowd. Are you kidding me? I've covered you for 5 years. You draw massive crowds, you get huge ratings. I'm asking about the public health.
And I canceled another one. I had to cancel it. We're going to have a great crowd in New Hampshire, and I canceled it for the same reason.
This is seriously the most amazing interview. When pushed further, Trump insisted that his government had the pandemic under control, even saying it is what it is, referring to the deaths of over 155,000 Americans.
You know, I've covered you for a long time. I've gone to your rallies. I've talked to your people. They love you. They listen to you. They listen to every word you say. They hang on your every word. They don't listen to me or the media or Fauci. They think we're fake news. They want to get their advice from you. And so when they hear you say everything's under control, don't worry about wearing masks, I mean, these are people, many of them are older people,
What's
Mr. President.
What's your definition of control? Yeah. Under the
it's giving them a false sense of security.
Now, I think it's under control. I'll tell you what.
How? 1,000 Americans are dying a day.
They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is. But that doesn't mean we aren't doing everything we can. It's under control as much as you can control it. This is a horrible plague that beset us.
You really think this is as much as we can control? 1,000 deaths a day?
I'd like to know if somebody, first of all, we have done a great job. We've gotten the governors everything they needed. They didn't do their job. Many of them didn't, and some of them did. Someday we'll sit down, we'll talk about the successful.
The president also repeated his line, there can be too much testing, which resulted in a fiery and challenging moment in the interview.
We've done 55, it'll be close to 60 million tests. And, you know, there are those that say, you can test too much. You do know that.
Who says that?
Oh, just read the manuals, read the books.
Manuals?
Read the
What
books.
manuals?
Read the books.
What books?
What testing does?
Who, no, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, John. Let me explain. What testing does, it shows cases. It shows where there may be cases. Other countries test. You know when they test? They test when somebody's sick. That's when they test.
Robbo, this was really an interview to behold, and you can actually watch the whole thing online. I think it's Axios you look for, and it's. I have to say, there was a clip floating around at the end of the interview. Trump looks around at his people like, "Hey, I did a good job." You know, he didn't say that, but he looks like, and people are looking at him like, "No," and he goes, "Oh," like he was surprised that it wasn't going across well. This was train wreck, wasn't it?
Yeah, and can I quickly say, Jonathan Swan is the political journalist that we all need right now for every single leader in the country. I honestly never heard of him before. He's actually, a quick little tidbit for you, Dr. Norman Swan from the ABC. It's his son. So, but this was fantastic. I loved it when he goes, "What books? What are you talking?" Like, just not even, "Oh, excuse me, Mr. President, you know, What are you talking about? Are you kidding? Like, when he said, "Are you kidding?"
Although,
me?"
well, some
like,
people say he didn't show the president enough respect.
No, I think he did. And the thing I liked about Jonathan Swan is that he knew his stuff. He was combative without being arrogant. I think without being disrespectful. But his tone when going, what book, what manual? Like, that tone is how we've all, thought or said something when we're watching Donald Trump do anything. We're like, what are you talking about? Like, it goes up. What are you talking about? I thought this was fantastic and brilliant, and hopefully just another good nail in the coffin so he doesn't get back in November.
But, well, this is an interesting point, Danny. Let me ask you this. This plays to the Twitterati, the lefties on Twitter, who will watch this and go, yeah, this guy's really shown Trump. He's knocked him down and all that kind of stuff. Will it affect Trump's base? Will it, it will get a lot of coverage because of the kind of interview it is. But will it actually affect the president's base?
I hope so. I hope it really does affect. I find this guy so egotistical. He's got so many tickets on himself, and at every moment of crucial interview, anything, he always comes back to himself, where he's supposed to be the voice of the people. We don't care about his opinion. We want to know, where are all these advisors that he's supposed to be advising him? He doesn't need any, because the only opinion that matters is his.
That's very true. Now, go on.
Yeah.
Ben, I was going to say, it's interesting, isn't it, that there's a lot more combative interviews coming with the president, even from hosts of Fox News now. It is like the tide is turning, that they're not taking the BS. There was a time when you would challenge presidents, but you would sort of give them a bit of leeway because there was an expectation they were trying to tell the truth on pretty much everything. And then the media hit a point where they just went, it's just Trump's lies. How do you deal with this? But now journos are turning and seem to be having this way of fighting back against the nonsense.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because the landscape for Donald Trump is, he's a businessman, he's a business tycoon. Everyone knew who he was through the 70s and 80s and 90s. But then again, he was also a created television star. So a lot of his reputation that he has and his interactions with people almost always felt very formulated. And so he just would rely on this formula. Now, when you're a reality TV host like that, you can then throw back to these people because guess what? Doesn't matter what you say, you're always right. However, now when he's running the country, that sort of thing has now tapered off and people are tired of it, but also it's showing a sign of weakness that Donald Trump can't actually stand up and answer these questions properly. So what I will say is, previously on Celebrity Apprentice, you may have seen Vivica A. Fox trying to go after Donald Trump and he giving her feeble excuses. She will fall back on that because he's the host, and it's Donald Trump. However, I 100% have seen this shift in the way in which the Americans are now reporting on Donald Trump, and they're going to start making him accountable for things. And they're also doing something that he has been doing back at everyone for so long, and that is using just crazy tactics, like trying to ask him these quick questions and see if they can catch him out, because eventually they will.
It's interesting. It only took 150,000 deaths for the American journos to get their balls and start challenging him.
It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo, Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.